This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are back here with Suzanne Keating, excited that our astrologer is joining us again, Pathways of the Soul, and she lives on beautiful Nantucket Island in Massachusetts. We're ecstatic that she's here joining us today. We're going to talk about eclipses and so much more. So please, first and foremost, say hello and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, Jill. Hi, everyone. This is Suzanne Keating on beautiful Nantucket Island. It's a little overcast today, but we've had great weather this summer. And I'm going to be talking about eclipses today. But first, I'll let you know my website is pathwaysofthesoul.ack.com. And, or maybe I might have said that backwards. But anyway, and yeah, what else do we need to know?
Oh my goodness. Well, we need to know you as an astrologer, tarot reader, all the above,
Yeah.
past life regression. Tell us a little bit about the work you do.
Oh, sure. So I'm primarily an astrologer. I've been studying and practicing and writing and teaching about astrology for the last 38 or more years.
Mm-hmm.
And I do tarot as well every Saturday at the local farmers market on Nantucket.
Okay.
And then I do tarot parties, private parties. People come to the island. Yeah, they're celebrating birthdays or, bachelorette parties, whatever. And I do parties of 4 up to 20 people. And let's see, I do past life regression therapy. I studied with Dr. Brian Weiss and in 1997. And so I do those not as often as I do astrology readings, but I do a fair amount of them. So let's see, what else do I do? If people go to my website and sign up, I have a newsletter I send out at the new moon and the full moon, and it encompasses when there's going to be an eclipse or when Mercury's retrograde or major planetary ingresses, like a planet changing a sign, etc. Yeah, so kind of what I do.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we're excited that you're here, hoping so many. And we've gotten to know each other on a one-on-one level the past few months, which is great because you taught me a lot about astrology and how it helps people, further than the numbers, right? It's about what's going on in their
Right.
mind, body, soul, spirit, all the above. So astrological insight, as you say, can support a person as they continue to grow and thrive. So what did you have in mind for us today?
Well, eclipses are coming up very soon. September 7th, we're going to have a lunar eclipse. And so I wanted to talk about eclipses and eclipse seasons and what they are and what they aren't and how it affects us, on the earth. So I guess I'd let you know that the first eclipse season is starting on September 7th. And excuse me, I've got 2 pages in notes because there's some technical stuff too, but boy, oh boy, which side of the paper? And it will be 2 weeks from that lunar eclipse until the next eclipse, which is a solar eclipse. So we have and they come in series. So a lunar eclipse season lasts up to 6 months until the next new moon solar eclipse or full moon lunar eclipse. Eclipse, let's see, what else do I want to say about that? Oh, so what makes an eclipse? How do they happen? I mean, we have a new moon and a full moon every single month, but why don't we have an eclipse every month? That's because of the way the moon is orbit around the earth. The moon is our satellite, okay? It doesn't orbit the sun except as it goes with us, and the earth orbits the sun. When the moon gets in between the sun and the earth, then we have a lunar eclipse. When the sun gets in between the moon and not the sun, sorry. When the earth gets in between the sun and moon, then we have a solar eclipse. And we can only have solar eclipses at new moons when the sun and the moon are aligned. And we can only have lunar eclipses at a full moon. And they have different effects. And what does it mean, eclipse? Think of you know how the shadow you're looking at an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, will start there because they're safe. You can look at those without special glasses or anything because you're looking at the moon. You're not looking at the sun. But a solar eclipse, you need special eyewear. Otherwise, you're going to, hurt your eyes. And the lunar eclipses are visible on the whole night side of the Earth when they're occurring. Solar eclipses are visible only during the day, of course,
Okay.
because because the sun is being blocked by the moon. The moon moves in between the sun and the earth. So these things, we say that eclipses, something's being eclipsed, and that you've probably heard that saying, right? Like somebody's power or status is eclipsing someone else's.
Yes.
And that, yeah, and think of that as a solar eclipse energy.
Oh, okay.
Because in this,
Got it.
and solar eclipses, that the ancients believed that solar eclipses were dangerous for the leader, the king, because they had the power, or they took on the energy of the sun. They were the leaders. They were regal. And so when there was a solar eclipse, it was very scary because occasionally something would happen to one of the leaders. The king would die or something. And so in Mesopotamia, for instance, they would take the real king, put him out on a farm in the middle of somewhere, where no one was around, and have him there safe. And they'd put a substitute king on the throne during the time of leading up to and just following, maybe like 4 days, 5 days, the eclipse, so that the king wasn't going to be harmed. So nothing would befall let's say nothing happened to the king on the throne, who wasn't the real king anyway. Well, it was too bad for him because they took him out and killed him afterwards anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh
that
my
the
gosh.
energy, I know. So that energy, it would have like effectively taken place with whoever was sitting on the throne. And then the king would
Wow.
come back when it was safe. And that was, think of in those days, way back when, they didn't have the telescopes and they didn't have the ability to understand the cycles. And they thought when all of a sudden the earth went dark because the sun's light was blocked, that something really awful was going to happen. That let's say that the darkness was, it was so shocking, but few events really happened. They remembered the bad ones. They didn't remember all the times they had full moons or new moons and nothing happened. Okay. So let's see.
Oh, and
What
by
else?
the way, the station just emailed me,
Yeah.
so I do have your notes now. Sorry, they're a little bit late, but
Oh,
I
good.
know we're talking
Okay.
the eclipse season. What does it begin and end? What makes an eclipse? I got them all now.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank
good,
you. And
good,
I
good.
apologize. I need a
That's
tissue. I'm gonna just reach down
no,
here.
that's fine.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So what was I going to tell you? Oh,
The
I know. What makes an eclipse? How does it work? Why don't we have one every new moon, every full moon? It's because the moon's orbit is tilted about 5 degrees to the earth's plane. And it doesn't stay static. It moves slowly,
yeah.
over time. But when the moon's orbit crosses the orbital plane, it's called the lunar nodes. Think of them as like hinge points on a basket. It's like when they cross this certain point, there's this perfect alignment between the sun, the moon, and the earth, creating an eclipse. Okay. This doesn't happen every month that they're exactly lined up to that 5 degree tilt of the moon. So that's why we don't have a new moon or a full moon eclipse, a solar eclipse at a new
Got it.
moon.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So the difference between a solar and lunar eclipse, the lunar eclipse is always when the full moon happens, and the solar eclipse is always when the new moon happens. Well, how does it affect us? What does it do? It's a time of transformation. Think of lunar going in, feelings, emotions. This lunar eclipse coming up on September 7th is a powerful lunar eclipse. It's also
Got
in the
it.
sign of Pisces, which is very deep feelings, things beneath the surface, underlying things, intuition. It's going to be a very powerful point to pay attention to your feelings and emotions. What's outlived its usefulness? Because Pisces is also the last sign of the zodiac. What do I need to let go of? What isn't working for me anymore? You
Yeah.
know, pay attention to those little
Yeah.
subconscious hits. You know, that's what a lunar eclipse is good for. Then 2 weeks later, we're going to have a solar eclipse,
Okay.
new moon solar eclipse. And that's going to take place
Ooh.
on, let me get the
Ooh,
right
what's the
date
date?
here. Yeah, I know. I've got to flip the paper over here. Da, da, da. Um, yeah, you'd think I would have written it, highlighted it somewhere here.
Yeah.
Um, I know when it is. It's going to be on September 21st. Happens to be the same day that the sun moves. The sun is moving out very close to being at the end of Virgo. It's at 29 degrees and everything takes up about 30 degrees in the sky. We're going to have a new moon in Virgo on September 21st. And that is going to be like, think of it as like a door opening. If the lunar eclipse showed us what we need to let go of, you know, the solar eclipse is going to give us an opportunity to say, what do I need to put into place in my life now? And in Virgo, the opposite sign to Pisces, it's got a lot to do with organizing our lives. Yes, we already know where the sun is in Virgo right now, but the moon doesn't make its whole orbit around the earth and get caught up to there until September 21st. And at that point, it's going to be at the tail end of the Virgo, the solar Virgo cycle. But what it's really doing, it's really saying, stop, pause. What do I need to filter out? Because Virgo filters. Virgo is about discernment. Virgo is about, what am I digesting? What am I eating? What am I putting in my body? What am I taking into my mind? Is all this information for me? What is extraneous? I don't really need it. It's just causing distractions in my life. So that solar eclipse new moon on September 21st is powerful for setting up new routines, new schedules, new dietary habits, shutting the TV off so it's not on 24/7, just giving us too much information. It's a really good time to say, how am I doing?
Yeah. Whew. A
Yeah.
lot, too much. All right, that's good because I just got even with my children on these electronics all summer and myself, we're addicted, right? Oh,
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, here's the thing. Think about, excuse me, the sun being in Virgo, and we're getting our routines back into shape for school, returning to school, for getting, vacation time is over. Now we got to focus on taking care of business. But think of it as, how do I make my system better? How do I
Okay.
purify things? Without being too self-critical, too picky, because Virgo can tend to do that and get very judgmental. But think of it as an opportunity to enjoy little moments in the day that are more connected to nature, that are more connected to eating healthy foods, that are more connected to noticing the details. Like, oh, wait a minute, how can I be more mindful of my food on the table? How about tonight we put placemats down and napkins, and we shut off the news and the TV, and we put the cell phones away, and we all sit and talk to each other? Now there's a good idea. And stay in the moment and do these fun things that we don't always take the time for. And that's part of the power of the Virgo mindfulness. It's a good routine to start to incorporate into your life while the sun is in Virgo, but especially putting a period on the end of that sentence, just, is like at the solar eclipse new moon, to say, what new habits am I incorporating into my life now going forward, to really pay attention to that.
Got it. All right. Well, this is amazing. By the way, if you are tuning in, Suzanne, whew, This is beautiful work because I'm curious, how does this all affect us here on Earth and what does it do? Like, and I hear things, tell me if this resonates. I always hear when there's like a full moon, let's just talk about that quick. My dad gets
Yeah.
crazy and he used to fight with my mother. Is that true? I mean, is that true?
Well, the moon is our feelings in water, okay? So it pulls on the tides, it pulls on our emotions. And so when it's full, it's absolutely highlighted. And what we get to see, it's an opposition of the sun and the moon. And what happens at a full moon is everything that needs to be highlighted is going to be highlighted, whether it's for the good or for the bad. But people, their feelings are amped up, everything's sort of revved up. So yeah, people can act out. It can also be a beautiful time for going, oh wow, look how well I'm doing in this relationship or this
Yeah.
project, or beautifying my yard. And it really draws attention to what we need to pay attention to. The effect on us is that we can things are accelerated during an eclipse. Okay, so a full moon lunar eclipse will amp up our feelings around what I need to do for myself. We can't put
Hmm.
our head in the sand anymore. We're going, okay, I've been feeling this way for a long time. Pay attention to your feelings. Look
Yep.
at your feelings.
Yep.
When the solar eclipse comes up, usually, hopefully, we've let go of whatever isn't working. We're really being honest about what we need emotionally, mentally, physically, every way. And the solar eclipse gives us this new doorway, this new opening to institute a new frame of mind, or a new whatever. It all depends on what time of year it is, what sign the eclipses are in. And how it affects you personally is you have to know where it is in your chart. So where it's, and what I mean is that because the birth chart is sort of, it's static, your birth chart doesn't change, but everything outside of it, that what we call the transits, where everything is moving through the sky, that eclipse on I'll tell you, on the lunar eclipse is going to take place at 15 degrees of Pisces in 23 minutes. We click that up to the next degree, 16 degrees of Pisces, and you look around your chart on the outside of the wheel and say, where does Pisces fall in my chart? Where is 16? Is it connecting with any of my natal planets? If it's particularly connecting with your sun or your moon, that's going to be a big deal for you. There's going to be some kind of major aha. Okay, this is timely. If I needed a sign, here it is, that kind of thing. If it's, not directly conjunct a planet, but it's aspecting with another planet, you're going to say, oh yeah, okay, I've been feeling like I need to talk to this person. That's probably a Mercury connection, communication. And so the full moon will highlight that. Now the new moon, where you same thing. How's the new moon going to affect me? Well, where do I have? I'll tell you the degrees for that new moon. Solar eclipse, 29 degrees in 5 minutes. It's at the last degree of Virgo, 30 degrees of Virgo. And that is really saying, slow down, take a breath, and notice what it is that you have decided to let go of, what new habits you're bringing into your life, and how can you keep it going moving forward. Where is Virgo in your chart? Okay, where do you have that? I'll just, for example, I have the lunar eclipse in Pisces taking place in my third house of communication. Third house also has to do with siblings, co-workers, neighbors, short-term trips, going off the island, or, but it's not going to Paris. That's a ninth house, long-term travel. The opposite eclipse taking place 2 weeks later, and they're always 2 weeks apart. It's going to be in Virgo, in my ninth house of higher education, the higher mind, opening up new horizons, travel, maybe taking a course in something. It's reaching out and connecting with people. And so I know that because I know where I have Virgo Pisces in my chart. If I know where it is in my client's chart, I'm able to say, oh, pay attention here. Okay. So what else do you want to know, Jill?
When is the next eclipse season exactly?
Oh, okay. Good question. So the next eclipse cycle starts in is in oh, I, I did say, but I want to make it clear that they happen roughly 6 months apart. So the next annual solar eclipse takes place February 17th, 2026. And 2 weeks later, March 3rd, we have a total lunar eclipse. Okay. This is, hold on one second. Oh, yeah. And then there'll be an eclipse, 6 months later in 2026, there'll be a solar eclipse on August 12th and a partial lunar eclipse on August 28th. That's pretty far out there. I'm not going to talk about those two eclipses, but you can see about every 6 months. Now, the points at which these things happen are revisited when other planets transit over these eclipse points. So I won't just pay attention to where things are on the on the day of the eclipse. 3 months later, I'm going to look at what's squaring that point in my chart. What's getting some attention? What do I need to is it going to be a breakdown or a breakthrough? What am I got to do? And then, a month later, it's going to be a beautiful trine effect to that placement. Oh, what's flowing now? Jump on the bandwagon and pay attention to what's flowing in my life and go with the flow. And then 90 days, I already said the 90 days. That's 3 months later. But 6 months later, this energy is going to be replaced with the new eclipses. And then we're going to have a new focus. So roughly, so that's what the next eclipse cycle is. But I wanted to tell you something there. Oh, guess what? There's been some misinformation out there on the web about an eclipse. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. And I didn't even know about it because I don't follow people that put out misinformation. But anyway, I read that there's something going around saying we were supposed to have a total solar eclipse on August 2nd, 2025. Not
Yeah.
possible. Not possible. That
Huh.
wasn't real. It was fake. It
Huh.
was the next total solar eclipse that's happening on August 2nd is going to be in 2027, and it will be a
Oh.
total solar eclipse. It will be the longest one of the century. So in 2 years from now, you want to pay attention to it. It's visible in parts of North America, Southern Europe, and in the Middle East. But if you are reading something and you go, wait, we're going to have another eclipse in September? I didn't hear anything about an eclipse. Go to the NASA website, look it up, talk to your favorite astrologer, get the information correct. Sometimes people put information out there to make astrologers look bad. I know
No.
my astronomy in order to do
Darn right you
astrology.
do. You are an expert, true and true. All right. What
Uh,
else do we have?
so
Say
anyway,
2 more minutes left in the show. What else do you want to make sure we cover for today?
let's see. Yeah, more information on eclipse, how you can work with that energy. They're motivators. Think of eclipses as motivators. Okay, they're not going to kill the king, that kind of thing. But their motivate is to clean out what isn't working anymore. Okay, what isn't useful
Yeah.
anymore, and they prepare us to take advantage of the new cosmic doorway opening at a solar eclipse. So when the energies align, both internally and externally, eclipses highlight things. They make things happen suddenly. They can accelerate change. Something you've been wanting to do for months and it wasn't working out. If you start to institute that energy at an eclipse, and boom,
Yeah.
it happens really quickly. So they're good point. They're good jumping off points.
Got it.
Eclipses. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Well, in conclusion for today, Suzanne, how did you want to kind of, leave off about all these eclipses, how what it's happening
Sure.
to us? Yeah, thank you.
I think I think what I want to say is, right now we're in a really important time on the earth, and for making changes, for raising our vibration. The
Mm-hmm.
more you know, the more you raise your vibration, the more you raise your consciousness, a higher consciousness. And astrology is one of those tools you can use to raise your
Beautiful.
consciousness up and to be aware. And that's what I want people to do, to take a breath, to go into their heart, and to send love out to all their loved ones and to the whole world and to the whole earth. And that is the most important thing I can say today.
Got it. All right. Well,
And
thank
I
you
just
so
have
much.
chills all around my head when I just told you that.
I know.
That was
Oh,
important information.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
And how can we reach you?
You can reach me at Pathways of the Soul, ack.com. You can reach me at Suzanne Keating 3 at gmail.com or by my phone number, but leave me a message if you call so I won't think you're spam. 508-221-1283.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day and looking
Thank you.
forward
You
to
as
next
well.
week. Thank you, sweetheart. Enjoy the weather.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.